The next guest on Smarter San Diego TV is our downtown San Diego correspondent. Please welcome back to the show the lovely Nicole Hazleton and her guest, Rick Davis.
Welcome to the show. What's up?
Thank you for having us.
Yes, Rick, welcome for the first time.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, you're in charge of quite a bit going on in the Columbia District, which is our subject of conversation, Nicole. We've talked a lot about downtown. We haven't talked about Columbia yet. I think we should first identify what is the Columbia District for people who don't know.
The Columbia District is essentially the residential buildings that flank the Embarcadero. So from Broadway to Ash, really what encompasses from Electra, the residential tower, to Bayside, the other residential BOSA community.
Now, the Columbia District it's been there for a long time. Some of these buildings have been there for a while, but it's recently gotten a lot of attention because there's a lot of projects that are in the works. Part of the reason why Rick is here, he's in charge of some of those big projects. So the first one I think we're going to talk about is Pacific Gate, right?
Pacific Gate, a development by Nat BOSA, and he's working with KPF Architects, which is a world-renowned architectural firm. And it's an exciting time in the Columbia District. This building is slated to be finished, I believe, next year.
Late 2017.
Late
actually,
2017.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a 41-story residential community with
41
stories, and it's directly in front of the Electra Tower. But Nat BOSA was very specific when he was laying out the schematics for the building, which is why it's oval in shape. And the way that it's laid out is to maintain view corridors for those that still reside at the Electric community.
I was just going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
I was like, you said right in front of Electra, and I'm thinking, oh no.
Right.
For the people who live in Electric, so they're still going to have their views.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pacific Gate. Rick, tell us about Pacific Gate.
Well, as Nicole said, it's a 41-story residential tower designed by an architectural firm, Cohn Peterson Fox, out of New York, which they're one of the top 2 or 3 architectural firms in the world. And Nat BOSA has really elevated the architectural style of his buildings for downtown San Diego, and is really going to take not just the Columbia District, but it's going to affect the whole downtown area as far as design and architecture, stepping it up to a world-class level that San Diego hasn't seen yet.
So what you're saying is most of the buildings are pretty, let's say, square. Pretty standard-ish. You know, we haven't really seen anything crazy. I mean, we can see the buildings behind us, there's a couple hotels that have unique shapes, but as far as the residential stuff, the Harbor Club is about as crazy as it gets, right? So what you're telling me is that with this will be the first one where they're really going to step it up. You're going to see some design, some art, if you will.
Yeah, we call it a super prime building, but basically it's a building that kind of is held to world-class standards. So something that there really isn't a lot of on the West Coast at all out here. So
sounds expensive, Nicole. What are we thinking here? What are the prices, expectations, things like that?
Well, they haven't released any pricing yet on that community. We're guessing somewhere in the 1,000 per square foot range.
Okay.
But pricing is very vertical in downtown, so it just depends on what floor you're purchasing on and what the orientation is and the view.
Sure. Rick, what is the expectation for sales? Because I know that's your job here. Are they expecting this thing to be sold out before it's finished?
Well, we don't use that word in our world, but there's a lot of demand for new product in downtown San Diego. There hasn't been anything built, like Nicole said, since Bayside, which was completed in 2009. So we've had a long period of time with no new product on the market, and you already have constrained inventory with the resales. So we expect there to be quite a bit of demand and to do pretty well.
Because this is a huge project. I mean, this project probably costs, certainly tens of millions of dollars, right? If not 100 million plus.
Yes.
I mean, it's a lot of money. So these are smart guys. They're not going to go just throw that money into an area unless they feel like they're going to get a return on it.
Right, and he is planning to build a complementary building to this Pacific Gate project directly across the street on the north side of Broadway. And it is, I think, slated to be 45 stories, so a little bit taller, possibly. Quite a few units more, 296 proposed residential units. So with those 2 towers that are underway, Pacific Gate has already broken ground, and then this new one that's kind of making its rounds with the permitting process, and then another lot behind Bayside on Ash and Kettner. I think that the Columbia District is in store for something big.
Yeah, I tell you, we went to social media with this, Rebecca, and we decided to just ask people a quick question about the Columbia District.
Yep, so the question was, are all the new buildings being built in the Columbia District of downtown good for the area, or is this too much too soon? A few of our followers think that it's great for the area.
Most of them did.
Yes, Yeah, all except for one. Joseph Anthony thinks that it is way too much.
What do you think
Way
to anyone
too
who says
much.
this is too much? They're building too much. It's being overbuilt down there. What do you say to that?
I think that they need more residential communities to support what is in store for the entire Embarcadero revisionary plan. So, I mean, $230 million is going into redeveloping the land between the airport and Seaport Village. And the Navy Broadway complex is one of those things that's getting redeveloped and has been in the works for a really long time. But we need more residential communities in that area to support the growth in the neighborhood.
Yeah. It seems like this is going to be the best building potentially in downtown that we've seen in San Diego, that exists in San Diego. So you're going to be attracting sort of the higher end buyer, the people who really want the luxury, who really want the views. I imagine from where they're going to be if they're in front of Electra, the views are going to be decent, right? Yeah. So can you confirm that, Rick?
As far as the views being decent, well, it's obviously in a great location on let's just call it the front row of residential.
Right.
But views in a superstar city, which San Diego's preparing to step onto that stage, are all about vertical buildings. So there's going to be vertical buildings in your view, but that's what makes a city a superstar city.
Tell me about the ReThink Gallery. Rick, what's that all about?
The ReThink exhibition is a temporary, and I mean that just probably open 6 to 8 weeks, exhibition in downtown San Diego that's sponsored by BOSA. And it is an exhibition that just talks about San Diego's kind of brief history and how we got to where we are from a design and architecture perspective and where it's going to go over the next 20 years. It's open 7 days a week, free to the public, come down anytime. It's at the corner of 1st and G, right across from the Nordstrom's entrance, and lots of great information on history and architecture and how this building ended up getting designed the way it is. So it's definitely worth a visit.
And Nicole, you're holding an event there, right?
I am on
Did you
November
want to
5th.
tell people about that?
Of course. I'm hosting a private event, a client event there on November 5th for breakfast. Actually, BOSA and the S&P team are hosting my company, and we're doing a 9 to 11 a.m. presentation with their team about what to expect in the Columbia District and as far as Pacific Gate is concerned. So whether you live downtown already, if you're considering making a purchase downtown, or if you're just interested in the art and architecture of the city, it's definitely a must-see.
Okay, so how would people get in touch with you if they wanted to maybe join you for that breakfast?
Yeah, they can visit my website and they'll be automatically prompted to register for the event, or they can just submit a contact request form or give me a call or text at my phone number.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Thank you guys so much for being here. Rick, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Good idea. Thanks for bringing Rick. Nicole, you're amazing.
Thanks so much for having us.
Great stuff. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.